What's something you've always thought was normal until you realized other people didn't experience it? Number 1. Ever since I was little, I would frequently feel my heart kind of flop around and skip beats. I always thought this was normal until a doctor noticed it during a routine physical exam. He asked if I was nervous about being at the doctor, and I told him my heart always does that. Turns out I just have a lot of premature ventricular contractions. My cardiologist told me they're very common, but most people don't actually feel them all the time. Number 2. When I was a kid, I'd walk to school. When it was cold, I'd come home and my mom would ask, "Why are you wheezing?" I'd shrug because I thought it was just what happened to people when it was cold. Found out several years later that I had exercise-induced asthma, and cold weather was my main trigger. Number 3. I didn't know people can't smell ants, bugs, and other scents. First time I walked into a friend's apartment, I said, "Whoa dude, you got an ant problem." He was like, "Oh shit, where is the ants?" I'm like, "Ick man, but I smell 'em." He looked at me like I was the dumbest fucker he's ever seen and just told me that's impossible. Sure enough, in his pantry, a little line of those fuckers pillaging a bag of rice into a vent via conga line. On that day I learned not everyone can smell ants. Edit, apparently I have a superpower. If any entomologist wants to reach out, I would love to work with you. Insects are amazing. I always had a very strong connection with bees. I had one riding around with me the other day in the car. I stopped traffic because it wouldn't leave me alone. I had to pick it up and leave it outside my car on some foliage. Bugs are friends, do not kill. Number 4. As someone with horrible vision, it is wild to me that there are people who can see perfectly without any aids. They don't need glasses, contacts. Vision is fine while reading, driving at night. All the time. It's amazing. Number 5. I grew up with some fairly questionable dental care that was free through my dad's tribal healthcare. I had a lot of dental problems, likely stemming from my mom giving me apple juice in a baby bottle, as well as enamel that never developed correctly. During the annual dentist trip, my older brother and sister never had cavities, but I always had 4 to 5 or more. So the visits were pretty hellacious. I would complain about the procedures and how badly they hurt. I was 6-ish, but my family were hard-ass and tough love people. So my complaints were dismissed as whining and worse, told that I deserved it for not brushing my teeth better. So, I stopped complaining. 27 years later, while going through my 5th root canal, I was shaking and tense and sweating. The dentist kept asking if I was okay, like they always did. I said yeah, I'm fine, like I always said. This time though, the dentist stopped the procedure, pulled his mask off and said, "Are you experiencing any pain? You seem like you are." I said, "Of course I am, it's a root canal, these always hurt terribly, but I'll be okay, let's just push through it." He said, "You shouldn't feel anything at all. Only some pressure, but zero pain. Root canals shouldn't hurt." Then he numbed me more, started again, and kept numbing me until I felt nothing. 5 minutes in, he stopped again because I was crying and he asked if it still hurt. I said no, not all, and smiled crookedly through my completely numb face. I thought dental procedures were supposed to hurt. I was 33 when a dentist finally realized I was suffering, but self-reporting I was fine. There was always more numbing they could have done. I suffered for 3 decades because I was told to stop complaining as a 6 years old. If you feel pain, any pain at all, tell your dentist. Zero pain is normal. Advocate for yourself. Also, don't tell young children to stop complaining about pain, because they might listen and you cause them to hurt for a lifetime. Number 6. It took me a while to put together that most people notice that they're hungry before it starts to hurt. Number 7. Constant counting in my head. Turns out that's an OCD symptom. Didn't realize until I was an adult. I count everything. Constantly. Number 8. Ever since I can remember, I got periodic weird sparkly things in my field of vision. Rainbow, jagged, circularish thing that gradually got bigger until my head seemed to pass through the ring and then it faded. Happened all the time. I would get really cranky, achy, and tired afterward. Always happened when my mom would take me shopping for clothes or groceries. She used to get so annoyed when I wanted to leave after 10 minutes at the mall. In my 20s I mentioned it in passing, "Oh hang on, I have a sparkly thing. Ugh, I hate these because now I'm going to have a headache." Mom was like, wait, what? Yeah, I have chronic migraine with aura and fluorescent light is a primary trigger. Edited to add, wow, I had no idea so many people experience this. I feel for each and every one of you. When I was younger, maybe into my 20s, they were just a weird, annoying inconvenience. Yeah, I felt a little crappy afterward, but nothing debilitating. Unfortunately, they progressed to being a harbinger of doom. Full migraines with all the awful pain, nausea, light sensitivity, aphasia, brain fog, the works. Besides evil fluorescent light, I've identified lack of sleep, too much sleep, dehydration, exercise, stress, and sudden positional changes, standing up too quickly, as triggers. Yay for trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle? Faced with rolling eyes recommendation, find a doctor who will refer you to a good neurologist. I'm working my way through a series of preventative meds that work for a while until they don't. But we keep trying. My neurologist said, well, we're basically guessing. We just keep guessing until something works. Good luck out there. Number 9. I always thought talking to myself out loud was normal until others found it odd. Number 10. Constant existential dread. Turns out not everyone's brain is a 24/7 horror show. Number 11. When I'm in a room with other people, part of my brain is paying attention to every conversation my ears can pick up, all at once. Specifically, it's paying attention to the emotional temper of each conversation, in case someone suddenly starts having a bad time. Turns out most of you just listen to one conversation at a time. My way is actually a consequence of growing up around an explosive parent. Deep down, I don't want anything to happen that will lead to an angry person yelling at us. This also explains why I have a hard time in groups bigger than 10 or so. There tends to be too many voices having different conversations, and I get overwhelmed processing it all. If I can't keep up, I feel vulnerable and exposed, and things cycle downward from there. Number 12. Not trusting your parents and being very careful not to share any details of your personal life because they'll use it against you. I thought everyone did it. Number 13. Constant intrusive thoughts and imagining what-if scenarios of horribly traumatic possible events. Number 14. I used to think everyone had a vivid inner monologue narrating their day, but then I found out some people don't have one at all. It blew my mind when I realized that wasn't common. Number 15. My parents worked full-time and left me home alone a lot. They never checked if I had homework or anything like that. So I'd just come home from school, watch TV, play with my dog, whatever, by myself. I literally never did my homework because no one was there to make me. More often than not, I was a bit bored and lonely. Most days I would try and find a friend to come hang out. I'd ring, this was in the 90s, every single kid in my class to come over and play. They always said no, they weren't allowed, because they had homework to do and because my parents weren't home. I didn't understand the concept of not allowed. My parents weren't even there. I could just go anywhere I wanted. Why couldn't they? It wasn't until I was an adult with my own kids that I realized their parents were just a lot more responsible than mine.